This is going to be the definitive Batman Arkham Gadget tier list, going in depth with each gadget from the games and placing them on this list here. As a professional Arkham player, I feel that I have the knowledge and the epic experience to be the leader in this kind of topic, obviously. And we're going to go through each character playable and all their gadgets as well. And also we are going to be separating the tier list into combat and predator sections, because one gadget can be OP in one section while not applicable or straight up dog in the other. I think it's best to judge them that way, and it's more content, so like you're stepping on a Lego. I'm also not going to judge each gadget on each individual game. Like, I'm not going to rank the Battering and Arkham Asylum separately from, say, Arkham Cities, because that's too complicated and dumb. And I'm not going to rank similar gadgets between characters differently. Like, I'm not going to talk about Nightwing's wingdings, because it'll be the same points as Batman's Batterings. Make sense? Here are the tiers. It's pretty much Nolanverse being the best, with it going downward. DCAU tier will be a mix of A and B tier. The entire list is going to be ordered as I place them throughout the video, so the lower end of the DCAU tier would be like B tier, if that makes sense. Cool, so I have all the lists here, and let's just jump into it. Character sections are divided if you look at the video's timeline, so you can go where you choose. Cool? Cool. Like the video, subscribe, I have swag, let's get on with it. So first of all, let's start with Batman and rank his gadgets in combat. Combat is so fun in this game, dude, and it sucks because other games try to replicate it, and it'll always just be worse.
It's too fast! How could you even tell what's on?
I can tell.
Back.
Too late, I'm in the 40s. Gotta go around the horn. It's faster.
I look for the giant chicken!
Now, Etch!
Let's start with the old and faithful Battering, the most basic gadget in Bro's arsenal. Now, the Battering in combat is an easy S tier. We're starting off strong, baby. And why is it S tier, you may ask? Well, use your brain for a second here. Something that matters in all forms of combat is speed. When you compare this Ninja Star to any of Batman's other gadgets in his belt that can somehow just carry anything no matter the size, which is weird to me, the Battering is the fastest. Speed matters, just ask Walter White. The Battering comes out fast as shit. So fast, as a matter of fact, that I'm actually going to use something called frame data. That's right, we're getting to the nitty and gritty. We're going to look at how many frames it takes for Batman to whip out his weapon pause. So, as you can see here, I'm on one of my own videos. Let's see how fast the Battering comes out. I'm going to use the arrow keys to go frame by frame. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14? Okay, so 14. You can see it right there. 14 frames. This Batman animation was different than the others, though, so, like, it might be faster if he's not twirling like a dumbass ballerina, but he does it here, so here it's 14 frames it comes out, and then it travels to its target. It's most likely different in Arkham City and Origins, but I'm not about to compare all of them. You can do that yourself. The point is, the move is really fast. It's really reliable as well. Other quickfire gadgets, I feel, put you in more danger of getting hit, like the Batclaw, for example. The Battering, it's like, I'm never worried of getting hit when using it, allowing me to keep my combo going. And it knocks enemies down, making it easier for you to fight. I'm taking too long in this particular gadget. In combat, the Battering is quick, reliable, pretty strong. In Arkham Knight, it knocks down multiple people. In the other games, it's just as good though. Battering is an easy Nolanverse tier. The next gadget here is the Batclaw. Now, the Batclaw has one huge garbage-ass downside. It takes too long. Have you ever tried using it only to get hit? It happens all the time to me. I always try to increase my gadget variation in a fight, so I try to use everything. And the fact that the Batclaw takes too damn long, every time I try to use it, I notice someone coming up to me to try to punch my bitch ass. Besides that though, the big plus of Batclaw I really like, and it's that it's a great combo starter. Starting off a fight with it, especially in challenge maps, makes it really easy to get your free flow going rather than running up to them and punching them regularly. In the middle of a fight though, you have to be a lot more careful in using them compared to a corny Mickey Mouse ass Battering. I think the Batclaw is still pretty good though. I'm going to put it in DCAU tier. I think it's still pretty good despite its flaws, just because its combo starting method is really nice and it's a really good gadget to close the gap. It is a little slow and you have to pick your spots a little carefully when using it, but I still think it's DCAU tier. This list also has a Batmobile. I'm not going to talk about this much because I think it's a really OP and I don't really consider it a gadget. It was just on this list I found. If you care, it's going in Nolanverse tier. The Batmobile is OP as anything. It's a second Batman, essentially. Next up, we have the Concussion Detonator on this list. This shit is ass. The Concussion Detonator is actually terrible, in my opinion, because I have never found a good practical use for this trash gadget. So you throw it. and it takes a bit before it detonates, or you can detonate it by performing the quickfire button again. It disorients people around you, but here's the thing. It makes them all dizzy, and it puts them in this dizzy state, and I actually think this doesn't benefit you at all, because when they're dizzy, they randomly start swinging, and it actually is a lot easier for them to hit you since you get less time to counter. I don't think this gadget is good. It's probably one of the worst ones in my opinion. This is actually going in Suicide Squad Kill It Just Leaked here. It's dog shit, and I think it has no real practical use at all. Next up, we have Batman's Disruptor. This gadget is kind of useless in combat. Wait until we get to stealth, but in combat, at least for Arkham Origins and Arkham City, I don't remember ever using this practically before a combat situation. In Arkham Knight, however, the game sets up a lot of moments where you can set up stuff with the Disruptor before entering into a combat situation, giving it some merit, I suppose. You never use it during a fight though, there's no quickfire or anything. It's not what it's designed for. So how do I rank this? Because it's like, what? It has one job in Arkham Knight in combat, and it does that well, but you don't use that super often. I'm just gonna put it in Zack Snyder's tier to piss people off. And 2, I really don't think it's necessary to use before a fight if given the chance. It's just nice to have as an option. It stops guns, so I mean that's kind of nice, but that doesn't matter because Batman is way too smart to die to basic guns, right? Next up is the Explosive Gel. This thing overall, pretty mid. So in City and Origins, it's kind of ass. The thing with it is that you have to quick fire it twice essentially, once to place it on the ground and another to detonate it. It's kind of hard to do that while in free flow combat without risking your entire combo messing up sometimes, and it's kind of dog for that reason. In Arkham Knight, it got buffed a lot. Batman decided to not be a dumbass and now just shoots it out pretty quickly, almost as fast as a Batarang. However, the new issue with it is that it now has the same issue as the concussion detonator. The enemies, instead of being blown up off their feet, are now in a dizzy state. And in this state, it's easier for them to hit you. I think for that reason, coupled with the trouble of setting up in Origins and City, I think it's pretty mid. It's not dog shit, I guess, because it still has some use, I guess, but it's pretty ass. Next up is the Freeze Grenade, which will also apply for the Glue Grenade because it's the same exact thing. The Freeze Grenade is like good, but sometimes I don't see the point in using it in combat. The thing with it is, there's no splash damage or anything. You freeze and stop one guy in place, which ultimately doesn't make a difference, but it doesn't hurt either. Like, it's nice as an option, and it's fast too, which is important. Batman just chucks it, but at the same time, the one guy out of play in a fight really doesn't matter. However, it can freeze big enemies, so that is a pretty nice option. And in Arkham Knight, you can upgrade it to freeze multiple enemies at once, which is a really nice upgrade. I think you can do that in Arkham Origins too, but I don't remember. So I think because of that, it's on the bottom of DCAU tier. Overall, not so bad. Line Launcher, actually ass in a fight. I mean, you can use it to knock enemies over before starting a combat experience, but like, no, be honest. Stop being stupid. You never do that, and if you do, get a life. This is just useless. I don't think it has any actual value in combat. The Wreck Gun is actually pretty interesting. The thing with the Wreck Gun is, it doesn't do any actual damage. It stuns basic enemies and makes them have a damn seizure. However, the pluses it has are some pretty big pluses. For one, I think it's really fast. I mean, it is really fast. I don't think it. I think it's like the same speed, if not a teensy bit slower than a Batarang. I never feel like I'm gonna get hit trying to go for this gadget in a fight using its quickfire option. It's really nice. On top of that, it knocks down armor thugs. If you want them temporarily disabled from a fight, this thing knocks them down. So it really helps in that regard. It's nice versus people with shock sticks too, to knock them down as well. People with guns start spazzing out. Overall, I think the Wreck Gun has a lot of really good uses. Not as necessary, but in tougher fights, it has merits. I think it's a solid DCAU tier. I did not like Zack Snyder's Batman. Next up is the remote-controlled Batarang. Ass. I mean, you can't use this gadget in combat, and it doesn't help in any setup before a fight whatsoever. Not really, unless you're trying to be different. Like, what are you doing? Stop doing that. Useless tier. The Remote Claw. This is pretty mid in a fight. I mean, you can use it to get the drop on a fight before starting it, but like, how practical is that, really? Like, be real with yourself. I almost want to put it in Suicide Squad tier, but it's designed that way in combat scenarios, so like, sure, but it's pretty mid. Wait until Predator sections though. This thing is a Mickey Mouse ass, broken ass cornball gadget. Next one is a cryptographic sequencer or the remote hacking device. They're both the same to me. Useless. Actually useless. Like, you can't hit someone with this at all, so it doesn't even matter. It's useless here. The shock gloves. Imagine putting God mode into your game, but like without mods. That is these shock gloves. WB Montreal were just like, F it, just put this in the game so people without a brain can enjoy the game as well. The shock gloves make it so you can just mash square the entire time and win. It legit just hits anyone through anything. It's absolutely broken. The only thing you might have to worry about is getting carried away and not countering properly, but that's nothing. If you use this regularly, go outside sometime, please, because this makes the game too boring for me. I don't know, I take that back. Sometimes it's pretty fun. It is pretty fun. I'm a cornball at times too. But, you know, you're a cornball for using it, sorry to say, but that's just how life works. Easy Nolanverse tier. Next, smoke bombs. Pretty mid. Just because the only time you use this during a fight is if you're about to get shot by somebody, giving you the quick fire option to trigger it, and if you get to that point, you're ass. That situation like rarely pops up though, so it's like not good during a fight. It is nice before a fight though, especially in Arkham Knight, to use as setup, throw a bomb, fear multi-take down some guys, and take out the rest. But outside of those two situations, I don't think this is the best. I don't think it's like Suicide Squad tier, but it is Zack Snyder tier to me. Pretty mid. Next is the Sonic Shock Battering. Dog. You can use this before a fight to take one person out, but like it's kind of pointless. It lets the people know you're there, and like be honest, you never done that before, have you? But since the option is there and available, I don't think it's straight up useless. It's just Suicide Squad here, garbage ass combat item. And finally, there's the voice synthesizer, which even before a fight, and even though it's an option to use before a fight, I guess, like it's useless to me. I know this contradicts what I said about the Sonic Shock Battering, where since it is an option, it's not useless, but I don't care, it's my tier list. The voice synthesizer in combat, even if it moves someone somewhere for you, it sucks balls. Useless tier. Okay, so there is a tier list for the combat section of Batman's gadgets. Honestly, I think I'm pretty fair on this. Given that I am the self-proclaimed professional Arkham player. I mean, come on, I did the battering frame data. I think this list is pretty fair, but you can let me know. But let's move on with these gadgets in the Predator sections. Okay, so how do these gadgets fare in Predator sections? How good are they? Okay, let's just start in the same order, shall we? Let's start with the Batarang. Now, this item, I think, is the best in combat. Here in Predator sections, though, they're still pretty good. The good thing about them is that they're silent when you hit someone with them. So you knock someone down with them, and they won't make a noise until they get up and start crying like a little or you go to take them down. It's a viable option in stealth when you want to pick someone off a little quicker, or it's like the last enemy and you want a safe, guaranteed way of making sure they don't shoot you. For that, I'm putting this in DCAU tier. I'm not gonna say this is perfect, but like it has a lot of practical uses for sure. Next up is the damn Batclaw. Now here's the thing with the Batclaw. In Batman Arkham City and Arkham Origins, this thing was a Mickey Mouse broken gadget. I mean, look at this bullshit. You just pull them off the ledge and it instant takes them out. You can legit take out armored thugs doing this. It's honestly really good, and they nerfed that in Arkham Knight for this reason. In Arkham Knight, you can't do that. They won't fall off the ledge, making it effectively the equivalent of Ice Spice. Ass. In Arkham Knight, it's honestly pretty mid. I don't use this in Predator sections often. In Arkham Knight, I would say it's Zack Snyder level, but the ones in City and Origins are Nolanverse level. So if we had to mix them and, you know, make it so it's fair, I'd just put it in DCAU tier, I guess. I don't know, but that's where I'm putting it because it seems fair. If Batman Arkham Knight had the same backclaws in Origins and City, and I guess Asylum too, I didn't play much of Asylum's Predator section challenge maps, it'd be an easy Nolanverse tier. Batmobile, I'm putting in useless tier. Yes, it has its own Predator sections with Cobra tanks, but I'm not counting those, so go cry about it. Next up is Concussion Detonator, and once again, this thing is dog water. Ass. Go ahead and lie to me in the comments and say you've used this in Predator sections. That's not like a challenge star map thing or anything. No, you didn't. Stop lying to yourself. And if you did, you're weird. The gadget serves no purpose in its stealth section. For what reason are you going to use it? If they see you, it's not a good item to throw out. If you're hidden, there's no situation you'd use this over something else. The gadget's just bad overall. It's Suicide Squad tier for sure. Next up is a Disruptor. Oh my god, this is an easy Nolanverse tier. Easy S tier, bro. Like, shut up and subscribe to the damn channel. Like the video, please feed me. Anyway, anyone that's played these games know just how useful this thing is in every game. In every game it's in, they just disable enemy guns. They can blow up mines. It makes Predator counters so much easier because it just neutralizes someone as a threat. In Arkham Knight, it just got super buffed because it has more ammo, and you can do things like tag gun racks, and if someone touches them, they just shock themselves like the dumb they are. This thing synergizes perfectly with the voice synthesizer as well. Just tag a gun rack, use a voice synthesizer, pretend to be Harley Quinn, and tell them to go over there and get knocked out like a clown. Easy S tier, amazing gadget. Next up, Explosive Gel. This shit is mid. I think it's mid. Now, it can have practical use, just like use it to set it up on walls, but like by the time I do that, I feel like I could have taken out 1 or 2 guys in that time span. I always look at things practicality wise, and this just doesn't have much in that realm. Come on, be real with yourself. I don't know. I think people may disagree on this one. I just don't use this often in Predator sections. I get that it can be good, and it's really good at setting you up near ledges or ladders, and if someone triggers it, they just fall. But like, whatever. I think it's mid. I never use this. Next is the freeze grenade. Now, I think the freeze grenade in Predator sections is actually pretty good. I think it's a good item, specifically for armored henchmen. I think this gadget is honestly one of the quickest ways at times to take one armored guy down. Just chuck one, walk up to them, and perform the ice smash takedown. Boom. In Predator sections, one less guy to worry about can be important, and it's just very solid at what it does, and for that, get it? Solid? I mean, like, solid liquid gas. Never mind. It's going in DCAU tier. Adam Sandler is an incredible actor. Next up is the line launcher. Dog. You can use this in Predator sections. There is a takedown for it, but like, why would you ever? It sucks at escaping. There's no real practical situation for it. Let me show you something. I've completed and 3-starred every Arkham Knight challenge with every character. I don't take showers, so believe me when I tell you, I like never use this unless it's for a star challenge. Well, that, and I've used it once in one of my first videos ever. The video's pretty ass, but I just did it to do something funny, so that doesn't count. Next is the rec gun. Honestly, this is going in DCAU tier, but like at the bottom. It's almost mid. So the reason I have it here is because 1, it can still knock down armored thugs, making it easy to pick them up, and 2, it synergizes really well with the disruptor. It's one of the best synergizing weapons. Is that a phrase? Simply disable someone's gun, shoot this bullshit at them, and watch them explode like Squidward inside the Krabby Patty vault. Those are the 2 practical situations I see for it, but those 2 situations come up pretty often for me. I feel that makes it DCAU tier. Next up is the remote control battering again. This is mid. Actually, no, this is Suicide Squad tier. This can push people off ledges, but you know what else can do that in way easier? The Batclaw. In Arkham Knight, the Batclaw is nerfed, sure, but I still never find myself using the RCB. See how cool I am that I made that an acronym? I really never find myself using the RCB, and there may be some practical use for it, but it's slow. It doesn't do anything the battering can't, honestly, besides push people further, which I guess is cool, but not necessary at all. This is Suicide Squad tier, bro. I better not see anyone defending this. Next is the Remote Claw. Easy Nolanverse tier. This thing is broken. It's just easy free knockouts from afar. Like, what do you mean I can just take out 3 guys in the beginning of the game? I can latch them onto a gargoyle and watch as their stupid little allies go to them and look in fear. Anyone who's played Arkham Origins knows that this gadget is easily one of the best. You get it early in game too, so like you get a lot of use out of it, especially since the upgrades for it come in pretty early. This gadget is super busted. Next is the cryptographic sequencer, or the remote hacking device for what it's called in Arkham Knight. Now this gadget only has use in Predator sections in Arkham Knight, and honestly, I still think it's pretty mid. Now the environments usually have a lot of things to hack and mess with when using this item, but in practicality, I never find myself using it. Maybe it's just because I'm boring, and honestly, I am. I'm not going to argue that, but I'm not going to wait in a Predator section and wait for someone to come by and fall for a trap. I'd rather take them down in a quicker, more effective way that I feel Batman would. For that reason, the sequencer is Zack Snyder tier. It's not Suicide Squad tier because it's nice in certain situations for sure, but those are too far in between, and I only use it when it can coincidentally work for me. Shock gloves, actually useless. Like, you actually can't use this in Predator sections. I think it's impossible, so useless tier. Smoke bombs, I think they're Nolanverse tier, but like maybe the bottom of Nolanverse tier, almost DCAU tier. The smoke bombs have so much flexibility. You can throw it and do a fear takedown. You can throw it and perform any takedown you need. You can dance in it while everyone in the smoke is freaking out. It's a great item, and you can use it in a lot of practical situations, and it helps to take out enemies fast at times. I only put it at the bottom of Nolanverse tier because, like, I don't know, I feel like these other gadgets are just better in terms of practicality, but the smoke bomb being fast and a great in and out option, oh, I love in and out. I'm from the West Coast. If you're not from there, get is a great tool and the premier escape option, so it's going in Nolanverse tier. Next is the sonic shock battering. This is DCAU tier. Very solid gadget. This thing is a free knockout on anyone. Straight up easy free Mickey Mouse knockout. Only reason it's not Nolanverse tier is because it's a one-trick pony item. It's just a free knockout. I feel like the other ones offer way more versatility, but the thing is, it's great at what it does, but it's a one-trick pony like I said. Like Bayonetta players from Smash 4, if you used that character back then, you. Did you know you could draw people to their death on this level? Check this out. Next and last for the Batman Predator sections is the voice synthesizer. Now this gadget is going in DCAU tier. It's a great gadget, but you only get like 2 uses before the enemies start catching on, and it doesn't insta-take them out or anything, it just sets them up. It's amazing when paired up with the Disruptor, but the Disruptor also works well with the REC gun, so that thing has more flexibility. This gadget still is really good, don't get it twisted. Great item, and it makes for some pretty funny situations.
What the dog doing?
So yeah, DCAU tier. So here are the 2 tier lists for combat and predator sections for these gadgets for Patrick Bateman. Pretty rad, right? And also, before you move on to the other characters, I'm not doing Batgirl and Azrael because their gadgets are legit the same exact ones that Batman has. So there's legit no point. And if you're curious as to what their rankings would be, refer back to the Batman tier list. And yeah, next one we're going to be doing is Catwoman. Now I love Catwoman because of how respectful she is and her intelligence and her being more mature and being the upstanding lady that I wholeheartedly respect. Her gadgets are pretty dog though, and she only has 3, so let's just jump into it, Philip DeFranco style. Okay, combat first. Let's start with her Bolas. Is that how you say it? Bolas? I don't even know. Everything I said about Batman's Batarangs pretty much applies here. It's her best gadget, but it's not as good as the Batarang. It's slower, I feel, which is the only real significant difference, but still quick enough to use naturally in a fight. So for this one, I'm going to put in Nolanverse here. The shuriken gadgets are all just really great. Why did Riddler let Catwoman keep her gadgets when she was locked up in Arkham Knight? Is he stupid? Next up, her Cal drops. I think this is ass. Honestly, pretty mid. The thing with the Cal drops is it can ruin your combo. You throw one down and you have to worry about the guy you're about to hit fall down because of it, and now your combos drop because you're trying to hit that said guy. It's also the fact that you can only use it 3 times as well, and while it can keep multiple people down for a bit, I don't think it's necessarily worth it at all. It's mid. I think this is Zack Snyder tier. Next up is her whip, which I also think is mid. Like, I mean, when I use it, I always say to myself, why did I just do that? It does no damage. It just trips someone down to the ground, like only one person. I will say it's nice for armored henchmen, but like, that's not a big plus in combat. There's other ways you can take them out, and Catmommy is so fast and not really an issue. So yeah, the whip is mid. Zack Snyder tier. So that's the tier list for the 3 gadgets for Catwoman. Go nuts, but let's go to her Predator sections and see how they fare there. Alright, so Bolas and Predator. I'd say they're a simple DCAU tier like the Batarangs. Solid, best escape option. Honestly, since she doesn't have anything to conceal her escapes, they're nice for a safe guaranteed knockout on one person if you aren't comfortable going for like a silent takedown or something. Not much to say about it. I mean, the thing with Catwoman and Harley too in Predator sections is that they suck ass in Predator sections. It's hard to escape with them. I feel like Michael and his friends from the office try and do parkour every time I play with them.
Yeah! Parkour! 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 I'm right behind you, Andy! Come on! Yeah! Parkour.
Anyways, DCAU tier for the Bolas. The whip, also DCAU tier. The great thing about the whip and Predator sections is probably your best option at taking out armored henchmen, because if you can't do a ledge takedown or something, the whip is the next best option since it can trip them up and you can go for a ground takedown, giving it some actual practical use. Other than that though, I don't ever use it. But that plus is a pretty big plus for Catwoman especially. Her variety and options is limited, but this gadget is DCAU tier for that specific reason. And last, her Cal drops. This is a whole lot of ass. I never use these in practical situations, only if I'm trying to get like a challenge done or something. It's just unnecessarily annoying and hard to get them to work. Like, you have to time it and wait, or throw it directly at them. A lot of times they just notice the spikes and just brush them off. I don't find myself ever using these on my own free will. This is Suicide Squad tier, bro. This is garbage. And there's your tier list for Catwoman. Honestly, pretty quick with her, but she just kind of lacks variety gadget-wise. It's pretty barren, like the Suicide Squad servers. But whatever, let's move on to Robin. Now, before I move on, I'm putting every shuriken type gadget in S tier for combat and DCAU tier for Predator sections, because that's what I put for Batman, and honestly, they're the same for everyone else. So to save you time, we're skipping those, but you'll see those placements on the list. And the same goes for every other gadget I discussed that's the same as well. So explosive gel, maybe the RAC gun. Nothing changes with these gadgets between the characters unless I specify it. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Anyways, on to Robin's gadgets. In combat, his zip kick. The zip kick I think is really good. I think it's really good when you use it on someone afar, so you kind of fly over to them and hit them, making it pretty impossible for someone to run up and hit you and interrupt your combo. On top of that, it's like the Batclaw where you can start off a combo easy. I think it's Nolanverse here. I really like the zip kick. Next is the Snap Flash. Now, the Snap Flash has a big downside in that it's risky to use. Trying to set this up sometimes is kind of a pain in the ass because it puts you in a vulnerable state for some idiot to run up and hit you. But outside of that, I think it's really nice. It knocks them down rather than putting them in a dizzy state. And it's not like the Cal drops where they fall over time. They all get knocked down to the ground at once. However, the 2-time setup and vulnerability puts this at mid for me because it's just not worth it to use, but it's like at the top of Zack Snyder tier. So yeah, Zack Snyder tier though. Next is the bullet shield. Pretty unique, I guess. I'm putting this at like the bottom of DCAU tier. There really is no fault with this gadget. Robin just whips out his bullet shield and whacks someone with it. Pause. It's safe to do, no real risk of getting hit, but at the same time, it just knocks them down, and that's really it. It's a really straightforward gadget with no drawbacks, I think, but only knocking one person down, it's not amazing either. I'd put it at the bottom of DCAU tier. And there's Robin's combat tier list for all his gadgets. Like I said, for the ones I didn't discuss, refer to Batman's tier list because it's all the same thing. I'm not going to repeat myself. Okay, moving on to Predator sections though. The zip kick is honestly solid in the Predator sections. You can use it to kick enemies off a ledge. It's a quick way to take someone out. There's no real downside to it if you're not being stupid. It's not the best gadget, but I'm putting this in DCAU tier. It's a solid one. Next is his bullet shield, which I think is pretty ass. Think about it practically. When are you using this? Are you going to use it to knock someone down? Use a shuriken instead. Are you using it to protect yourself from gunfire? Have fun, because while you're doing that, another guy's coming up from behind you. The uses of this gadget are overshadowed by things like the smoke bomb or the shuriken and stuff, so for that, I think it's mid. It's still usable, I guess, but it's ass. I think it's Zack Snyder tier. Robin's Snap Flash in Predator is the lower end of DCAU tier, just because it's actually easy to set up behind somebody, and if you lure people together, which is pretty easy as well, you can detonate it, and that's a lot of free knockouts for you, giving it some merit. I think for that, it's DCAU tier. And spoiler, that's the Predator section tier list for Robin. Like I said, refer to Batman's tier list for the explanations of the other gadgets. Has anyone seen that meme on Twitter that's like, look between these letters on your keyboard? If you partake in that meme, I actually hate you. Moving on, we got Nightwing, the guy with the best ass in DC history. I'm not kidding. I'm just saying what everyone else is thinking. Every writer somehow draws Nightwing dragging around the damn cake factory on his back. I'm just saying what we're all thinking, like I said. Let's start with Nightwing's electrical blast. Now, this gadget is honestly kind of mid. I don't like it. And why, you may ask? The point of this gadget is basically telling the goons around you to get the F off me, right? But you know what else does that? Yeah. In combat, there's really no point using this other to increase gadget variation, but there's no practical use for it when another mechanic in the game does it better, I feel. The stun isn't long at all to justify it using it either. Zack Snyder tier, it's just mid. Next is the Eskrima sticks. Honestly, pretty good. I think it's Nolanverse tier just because it's kind of the same as a shuriken, a tad bit slower, but I feel it's still fast and safe to use without risking someone hitting you. If you have the same properties as the shuriken or wingding in Nightwing's case, they really gave him the crappiest name for his shurikens ever. But if you have those properties, you're a great gadget. Nolanverse tier. His wrist darts. Now his wrist darts are good in combat, but like kind of pointless. They knock people to the ground and you only have 3 per fight. It does the same thing wingdings do. Like, why is this here? I'll tell you why it's here. It's clearly designed for Predator sections, honestly, but here in combat, I really don't see a use for it that the wingding can do. It's still good though, I guess, but the limitation makes it DCAU tier for me. I don't know, I can't justify putting it as mid because reviewing it as its own gadget, it's not mid to me, but the 3 uses per fight makes it DCAU tier, not Nolanverse. Cool, there's your tier list for Nightwing's gadgets. Now moving on to Predator sections. So for the electrical blast, honestly DCAU tier. I think the great thing about this is that you can ground pound if jumping off a gargoyle, letting you knock down multiple enemies at once. The ground pound thing I think is honestly practical, and it hits armored enemies too, so for that it's DCAU tier. Eskrima sticks, same thing with shurikens, is that it's a DCAU tier. The added effect of the Eskrima sticks ricocheting to get to places you normally can't is awesome, but I don't think that's enough for Nolanverse tier in my opinion. It's still really good though, same concept as shurikens, so I'm putting this in DCAU tier. Next is the wrist darts. Now, if you play like 99% of the Call of Duty population does, this gadget might be asked to you, but for a professional such as myself, this is Nolanverse tier. It's 3 easy knockouts for you. Well, I mean, not easy. It's unique. You have to aim it at their head, which takes them out instantly, but a body shot will take them down for you to knock them out. It's a really solid gadget. It's limited to 3, but that's 3 people gone easily if you can aim, and for that reason, it's a Nolanverse tier gadget. Easily, like it's a good item. Now, here's a difference. For Nightwing, his REC gun is going to Zack Snyder tier. It's kind of mid. If you remember, I put Batman's REC gun at the bottom of DCAU tier because it had the added effect of working well with the Disruptor. Nightwing doesn't have the Disruptor though. Not in Arkham Knight. He does have it in City, but he doesn't have the REC gun in City, so the synergy isn't there with him, which inadvertently nerfs the REC gun with him, putting it to Zack Snyder tier. Sucks, but it is what it is. And that's the Predator tier list section for Nightwing. Go nuts. Now, I would talk about Deathstroke. But Deathstroke pretty much has everything that Batman has, just in different names and forms. His proximity bomb works the same as explosive gel, his neural pellet works the same as Robin's snap flash, his stun grenade is just a smoke bomb, his gadgets are the same. I don't want to go through and talk about the same things and waste your time. Batman just does everything he does and better, honestly, in combat and Predator sections. It's pretty funny. Sorry if you wanted me to talk about Slade, but like, what do you want me to say that's new? He does the same Batman does, and one of Robin's gadgets he has too, which is like the snap flash thing. There's also Initiation Bruce. He has the zip kick, shurikens, cal drops, smoke bombs, and Kujiki bombs. Kujiki bombs? Kujiki bombs? The Kujiki bombs are his only new thing. You toss it and you're now invisible to everyone for a bit, allowing you to run around or vanish. Whatever. In combat sections though, after quick firing it, you can press Y or triangle or whatever the button is for you again to multi-knock down enemies on the ground. This is a Nolan vs. tier gadget in combat. It's really good. And it's also a really good gadget in Predator sections because you can just toss it and run anywhere without fear of getting shot or killed if you know what you're doing. Nolan vs. tier gadget for both sections. The difference this has over smoke bombs and Predator is that you can move anywhere, allowing for much easier knockouts rather than the smoke bomb being in one particular area. So boom, there's your tier list for Initiation Bruce. Moving on now, we actually have Harley Quinn. Now Harley Quinn has 3 gadgets: Laughing Gas, the Jack in the Box, and Snare Trap. Laughing Gas is a smoke bomb, so it's in combat, essentially useless. I'm putting it in the same tier as I put every other smoke bomb. But there's the Jack in the Box, which is just explosive gel, mid-tier, just like any other explosive gel kind of item. But there's also the Snare Trap, which actually is like the best shuriken type gadget. It traps people and entangles them, and it comes out super fast. Harley just chucks shit out of it like she's part of the NFL. It's insane how fast this move is. It's an easy Nolan verse here. Moving on to Predator sections with her though. Laughing Gas is going in DCAU tier. It's not as safe as smoke bombs, I think, honestly, but still pretty good, especially since it's not as safe because Harley, her parkour sucks. The Jack in the Box though, the Jack in the Box is actually Nolan verse here, and here's why. The Jack in the Box attracts people over and it takes them down in one hit once you trigger it. The fact that it lures goons over for you is really nice, especially for Harley. Harley sucks because you can't escape with her. She has no good parkour, like I said, no grapple or anything. So taking out people fast and narrowing them down is a really nice option for her, making the Jack in the Box an S tier gadget. And her Snare Trap, I think, is DCAU tier. It does the same as Batarangs, except that it entangles them, but ultimately it does the same thing, so it's DCAU tier. There's your Mommy Quinn tier list. Next up, Red Hood. Pretty cool and straightforward character. He has a zip kick, which I'm going to put here because I'm not trying to explain it again. Flashbangs and his guns. Now the flashbang is kind of mid. You toss them and it puts them in a dizzy state that I just hate. You can follow it up with shooting them, kind of like a long range beatdown, but people keep coming up to you and hitting you, so it kind of sucks. I think the flashbangs are kind of mid, personally. Guns are OP. Really OP. It one-shot kills people. Pretty fast, fairly safe to use, and it kills them. Unlimited ammo too, so you can just spam it. They made it really strong for no reason. If you play this character, you know how OP the guns are. Easy Nolan verse tier. There's your quick combat tier list for Red Hood. But for his Predator sections, guns are still OP. You can aim and one-shot anybody with it. It's crazy, and like the aim doesn't matter. You just kind of mark the target, press right trigger, and it just auto kills them. It's crazy how good it is. It might be one of the best gadgets in the game. I mean, if you want to call guns a gadget, I guess it is. Nolan verse tier though. Flashbangs, pretty mid. It's overshadowed by the guns, and honestly, there's no real use for it. Other than escaping, I guess it is your best escape option at times, like throw it at someone and grapple away. So it has that going for it. But I don't know. That's something that Red Hood doesn't really have an issue with, trying to escape considering how fast you can take out enemies, which in turn makes this mid for me. I've never used a flashbang really in Predator sections. And that's his tier list for his Predator sections. And those are all the tier lists for the characters. Now there is another character that is playable, which is Joker in Arkham Asylum, but I've never played him. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I've never played this guy, so I can't make his list. So someone in the comments go ahead and do that. But I imagine that not a whole lot of people will really be upset about it, and I'm still titling this the definitive tier list because I like the title. But that is the tier lists for each character in the game. Honestly, pretty quick explanations for most of them at the end there, but there's not much to say, really. You let me know what you liked or didn't like though. As always, leave a like, subscribe, all that stuff. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you on the next video. Stay safe and peace.